Mark White here, Idaho Estate Planning. Is that over on this side right there? Thank you. And this is Senior Matters Radio. This is the podcast version. And today we have with us Mitzi Cheldelin. Did I say that right?
That's right.
Mitzi is with the Idaho Division of Veterans Services. She's going to explain all of this to us, so you don't have to rely on me. But yes, we're going to talk about vets and some veterans benefits. And Mitzi, lots of money that might still just be on the table if the vets or their families would, go looking for it. And many won't. And many more, I think, don't know about that. So we'll talk about that in just a second. So, Mitzi, you are the community resource coordinator with the Idaho Division of Veterans Services.
That's correct.
Which is not, by the way, I get this all the time. We were talking about this just a minute ago. Is not a part of the Veterans Administration, which that's federal. This is state.
We are a state agency,
Okay, and so I was asking you, this is an independent agency, sits in the governor's purview, under his office.
Our chief administrator is appointed by the governor, and then our agency runs the state veterans homes. We have one in Boise, Pocatello, and Lewiston. And then we are building a new one, state-of-the-art veterans home in Post Falls, which will open by the end of this year.
Very good.
And then we also manage the state veteran cemeteries. We have one in Boise, and then we opened one last year in Blackfoot.
Oh, very good.
Some people also mentioned, well, don't you have one in Buell? And the one in Buell is actually a federal veteran cemetery. And, as far as where you want to be buried, the differences aren't that different between the state and the federal, but they are, all three of those cemeteries are dedicated specifically to veterans and their spouses or dependents. And then we have an education bureau. And the specific job of our education bureau is we certify all of the programs in Idaho with the colleges, universities, and even employers who have on-the-job training or apprenticeship programs. We certify those so that they can accept the GI Bill. So,
very good, very good. Yeah. So that is kind of a hand-in-hand responsibility with the VA.
Yeah, and that's why our agency gets mixed up with the VA a lot of times, because even our nursing homes, we receive funds from the VA to operate. Our cemeteries, there is a burial allowance through the VA to be buried at the veteran cemeteries. And then our most important part of the Division of Veteran Services, in my mind, is our advocacy office. And what our veteran service officers at our advocacy offices do is help our veterans get their benefits through the VA. So they'll file claims for service-connected injuries. They'll help with death benefits. And also for those that qualify, if they're low income, there are veteran pensions available for older veterans to help them fill that income gap. So like you mentioned, a lot of times there's money on the table out there that people don't know about, but we have advocacy offices in Boise, Caldwell, Lewiston, Post Falls, and Pocatello. Oh, and Twin Falls also. So,
okay, so hold out, because we're going to come back to that and talk about that a little bit more, because that is something that's near and dear to my heart as we work with our older clients, and particularly a number of veterans. And I think almost everyone in my office is connected to a veteran, whether it was a parent or a sibling. None of us have served because, well, I graduated, there was no draft. We no longer registered for the draft. When I turned 18, it was the first year. So if you can figure out the date, you'll know how old I am. So we didn't have this, not the same opportunities, and didn't take those opportunities that were there. All right, so hang on just a second. I was going to mention that the Veterans Cemetery here in Boise, or in the Valley, we used to go up there hiking and walking all the time, and we watched them build that. A fantastic job, by the way. And then you have some volunteers that help with memorials and services, and they do a tremendous job as well. Really appreciate all of the effort there. And
we are very lucky at our cemetery and also our veterans homes with the volunteer network that we have. People that are retired or whatever their situation, that volunteer, hundreds of hours a month and a year to help us out at those facilities. And we couldn't offer the superb services that we do at our veterans homes or at the cemetery without that additional help, and we do appreciate that.
Yeah. One of the things that we see regularly is that a vet will come in, we'll work with them as far as their estate planning. We'll put together wills, trusts, powers of attorney, and they'll tell us stories that they haven't told their family. But they even tell more stories to other vets. The just simply getting together is a huge thing for them. I guess I'm saying this for people that are listening that are going, hey, that's my dad. Yes, encourage him to get involved at some level. Some level, just get involved. They go down there and the generations disappear. The wars don't matter, where they fought, when they fought. It's simply getting together with other vets is what we've seen. And it opens up so many things and stories and memories. And I've been in my conference room and have had the kids in tears, and they go, I've never heard that story before. And so, yeah, great work, by the way, but I'm encouraging everybody to be involved. If it's volunteer, just go down there, have coffee.
Something that I would suggest is each month on the first Tuesday of every month at the Warhawk Museum over
yes.
They have the largest regular gathering of veterans there. They usually have about 250 veterans that show up, and they have a designated speaker each month. Doors open at 9:30, program starts at 10 o'clock. But I have had so many people say, well, that's a lot of people and I'm not sure I want to go. But once they've gone, they're like, I cannot believe I didn't come sooner, because again, it's all veterans. And the thing that I have noticed since August, when we pulled out of Afghanistan, is the Vietnam veterans reaching out to our Afghani veterans, because there's, a correlation now that wasn't there before August.
There's some things that they understand. Absolutely. So
I think it's really helped both sides.
Yeah,
so
I can commiserate with you and say, get out there, do it. I know the first time you're going to go, I don't know, you're going to get out there and you're going to start talking, you'll forget what time it is. I've seen it happen out there. All right, very good. So Division of Veteran Services, it is not the VA. You guys see each other from time to time with the VA. You interact with on a number of levels. What's your mission? Why do we have an Idaho Division of Veterans Services?
Every state has an agency like ours to be that that bridge between our state veterans, and here in Idaho, that is our job, is to be that bridge between our Idaho veterans and the VA to make sure that they get the benefits that they've earned, and they have earned those benefits. I don't care if you were in for 6 months and made it through boot camp and, you know, got out because of an injury, or if you were in for 30 years and don't think that you have any residual injuries, I can guarantee you that there's something that, you know, you can probably service connect for a benefit through the VA. And then it's not just all about benefits, but again, to receive that recognition that you earned for raising your right hand and taking that oath to, you know, serve and protect our country.
Yeah, so we have the Department of Defense, which is focused, of course, on actively serving members of the armed forces. When they are no longer serving actively, then the Department of Veteran Affairs was created to handle lots of stuff, by the way.
Right. And, you know, if you listen to the news, sometimes you hear bad things about the VA and, you know, the lack of care at a lot of facilities. Our hospital here in Boise is rated as one of the top ones in the country.
Yeah.
So,
top 3 or 4, I think.
Yeah, I know it's in the top 10. And the Spokane VA that services our veterans in Northern Idaho is also very good. And then the Salt Lake VA that services our veterans over in Eastern Idaho. And then throughout the state, we have what we call CBOCs, community, I can't remember what CBOC stands for, but community clinics, you know, in the smaller communities and things that are directly tied to the larger VA hospitals and things. And so there is care out in the community for veterans, no matter where you live. And you just got to come in and get signed up for those benefits so that they know that you're out there.
Well, and I was going to mention that sometimes the VA gets criticism. Sometimes it's, you know, it's worthwhile, it's accurate. We all should take some criticism in order to improve. But one of the things to keep in mind is the vast number of vets in the country and the vast breadth of the programs that are available to vets that the VA is involved with. And they have the same issues with hiring and maintaining people there as private companies. It's, you know, it's a daunting task at the very best.
Yes. Well, and we work very closely, like I said, with the VA, especially here in Boise. Our main offices are on the VA campus, so we have interaction with the VA employees a lot. I have social workers from the VA that will reach out to me that they're dealing with a veteran that has maybe never had any contact with our office. They're receiving benefits, but they need some extra resources in the community. And that's part of my job, is to help connect them with those resources and, you know, bring that together. And I've got a group called Joining Forces that brings together the VA, veterans groups in the community, and then also law enforcement, because oftentimes law enforcement will run into a veteran in crisis. Yep. Or even an older veteran, they're doing a welfare check at their home and realize that they need those benefits. And so it's just kind of a group, so we all communicate. And so oftentimes I'll have somebody within that network reach out, and we can point them to somebody else in the network, or oftentimes I'll just send an email out and say, you know, we have a veteran under these circumstances. Is there anybody that can help? And it's amazing. I like to say I have a 99.9% success rate, because usually within 24 hours, we have a problem taken care of if you know, previously somebody didn't know how to help with that particular situation.
Yeah, you know what, it's really a challenge for vets, because we spend a lot of time while they're in active duty teaching them to be self-reliant and, you know, got to be able to make these decisions and move forward and do this and do that. And then injury, PTSD, all kinds of issues, and they come home. And that's still, I think, a part of the psyche is, well, I've got to be able to do this myself and da 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 da, which I think is a barrier to a lot of them getting some help. And then it's just so easy for them to not know all of the ways that all of the VA programs and benefits that are available, from a little bit to a lot of it.
Right.
And so I'm guessing you spend quite a bit of time educating, trying to help people understand, listen, come on down.
Right. Yeah, I tell every veteran, make an appointment with one of the service officers in our advocacy office. Our services are free. We are funded by the state of Idaho for their benefit. Come in. There may not be anything particularly with our advocacy office that we can sign you up for, benefits or something like that. But if you don't have any service-connected injuries, you're not low income and need a pension or whatever, we can still send you over to the VA to see if you actually qualify because of your service status for medical care at the VA. And oftentimes you do, even if you don't have a service-connected injury. And I'd like to give you here are the criteria for that, but honestly, it's different for every single veteran. And that's why you can't say, well, my buddy got this, or my buddy said, you know, you can't do that. Your situation is going to be unique compared to anybody else. And that's why you got to come down and see us.
So as I recall, it's the VA 1010, Form 1010 that they need to, and it's a 1010 easy to fill out, and you get into the system, if you will, which then you can find out, and I can just say this, if they don't think they have medical needs now, just wait. We're all getting older. We all are going to need a little bit of help at some point, whether we're a vet or not. So get into the system, find out what's available. We were joking before we got on, the copay on prescriptions is really affordable, really affordable. And I've had those vets come to me and go, oh yeah, I'm in there. I go down there for my prescriptions. I'm going, and just the prescriptions? Oh yeah, that's all I need. Oh, and then others, of course, it's hearing aids and teeth and all kinds of things. But you don't know unless you go and find out. And then there's a process to do that. And you can help them, right? The Division of Veteran Services can help them get started.
That's correct. We are an excellent place to start. In the Treasure Valley, our phone number at our advocacy office, best place to start, it's 208-780-1380. And if we can't help you there, we will make sure that you're connected with who can help you. I would say probably 90% of the calls that we get, we are the office that will be helping you. But, you know, that's my biggest thing is if somebody calls, they're seeking something, and let's make sure that we connect them with what they need. So
they'll call, give us that number again.
208-780-1380.
So they'll call. There's probably a little triage of some kind trying to understand, well, what's going on? What do we need? And then they'll get them lined up with someone that can help them.
That's right. And generally we'll make an appointment for them to come in and sit down with the service officer. Even if they call that number and they're calling on behalf of, their brother that lives in Post Falls or their sister that lives in Pocatello or something like that, we'll make sure they get connected with one of our offices there. And believe it or not, we can usually get somebody in within the next week to 10 days for an appointment.
All right.
And the appointment usually takes about an hour and fairly painless. All of our service officers are veterans themselves. So, they understand the situation and they can talk the talk with you. And we've had some that, somebody will come in looking for a certain benefit, and after talking to the service officer and the service officer picking up on some things in their conversation and asking additional questions, they walk out not with what they came in for, but probably more than they'd ever anticipated.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to say this because I'm a guy and I might be an old guy. We're just so proud of ourselves for being do-it-yourselfers, right? I had people in yesterday and they're all guys, the husbands, 3 husbands yesterday, and they all knew more than I did about the reason that they came in to talk to me. And they were telling me what we could do and what we couldn't do. And I think I said it at least 8, 9 times yesterday. Well, let me do what I do. Let me do the thing that I've got the training for. I'm not saying you don't understand, but maybe there's more I can add. And definitely is the case with veterans benefits, right? Because they go, well, I can't qualify for that. Well, they don't know that for sure.
Right.
And maybe you couldn't before, but now you can. And then just like you said, maybe you go in and say, well, I can't qualify. And they go, that is correct. But what about this, this, and this, which, we guys, we have to know that stuff. I don't know. That's just so important that we know that stuff.
Well, the other thing that I see with veterans, especially if they haven't come in before, they, especially if they're combat veterans, they feel that they know somebody that's worse off than they are.
Yes.
And they don't want to take benefits or money away from somebody else. Well, that's not the case. There is benefits for everybody. Like I said, if you raised your right hand and swore that oath, then you are qualified for some sort of benefits, or at least to apply to see what you're qualified for. And it's not going to take anything away from anyone else. And the other thing I tell people, especially men, because there are both men and women veterans, but like you say, men tend to be a little bit more hard-headed, but come in and see what you qualify for, because it could benefit your spouse and your family.
Yes.
On. And, even just for example, at our veteran cemetery, you can pre-register out there, do all the paperwork, get your DD 214 on file and things. There's no obligation to be buried there if your family, makes the change after you're gone, but at least all the paperwork's done. There's nothing worse, I think, for anybody to have to try to come up with a bunch of paperwork when, that worst possible scenario has happened and you've lost a loved one and things. And, pre-register and have it all done. And then if your family wants to have you buried there, the paperwork's already on file.
Yeah, again, we're going to say this a couple, 3 times, I'm sure. Go down and find out. Just have sit down. Basically, it's an assessment. What's going on? When did you serve? How long did you serve? What was the situation? Injuries, that type of thing. And just do it. Just do it. So it's usually a daughter, right? Is in with dad. And she says, you tell him because I'm tired of telling him. And it's interesting that you say, we've seen this so many times. Well, I'm fine. Well, they're not, but I'm fine. you need to save this for somebody who's worse off. And I've done the reading. The funding for most of those programs is mandatory funding. There's plenty for everybody. It'll be all right. You're like you said, you're not taking anything away from anyone else.
Yeah, I often say, you'll have a double amputee that says, oh, I know somebody worse off. I know somebody who's a triple amputee. Well, both of you should be getting your benefits.
There you go. Yeah, no, I get it, but no, it's okay. So did you tell me there's like 175 employees in the Division of Veteran Services, and yep. I have not met a non-vet employee.
There are non-veteran employees. I myself, I am not a veteran. My dad served 35 years in the National Guard and the Army Reserve, so I grew up with that 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year. Dad was just gone. I thought everybody grew up that way. And then my oldest daughter joined the Marine Corps in 2002 and served for 5 years and did 3 deployments to Iraq during the worst of the fighting over there. And that's where my passion comes from for both my dad and my daughter, to make sure that they get benefits. But I can honestly say, even though not everyone is a veteran at the Idaho Division of Veteran Services, everyone has a passion for helping our veterans.
Excellent. So the process is this. First of all, the process is, I wonder. I wonder, would there be anything available for me? The answer is not guaranteed. Well, you know what? Well, not guaranteed, I guess, but almost. There's something.
Generally, there is something.
Yeah, and I have been trained in a lot of the veteran benefits that are available. I don't work with all of them, so I don't retain all that knowledge, but it's not a little. There's a lot. But if you go to the internet and you try to find this, it's like putting your mouth over the end of the fire hose. There is so much information, and it is not possible to understand it all.
Right.
So the first benefit is to call and get help sorting all that out.
I gave an example just the other day. If you have a business that you're running and you need to get your taxes done, yeah, you could sit down and do your taxes on your own, but it would be so much easier if you had a CPA do it, and then they are going to know all those little things to look out for, to ask you about. So you're doing yourself a disservice if you try to do it on your own without using our advocacy office or,
yeah,
like yours to push somebody in the right direction.
And quite frankly, they're both about as involved,
yes,
complicated. And so if you say, well, I know I can't do taxes, but I can do this, I think you're going to find that is not the case, that there is something that you have not seen, read, heard, and so find out.
Let me just give you a quick example. When a claim is filed for whatever the injury or service-connected disease might be, if the VA denies that claim, we can appeal it. And if you did it on your own, you could appeal it. But after a decision is made on appeal, the only way that that decision can be overturned is if there's new evidence. So what happens a lot of times is when somebody files a claim on their own, they put in enough information, they thought they were giving it all, but as far as the judge is concerned, anything additional that you contribute to that is not considered new evidence. Whereas we, from the beginning, are going to go, they're looking for this, that, and the other thing, and make sure that that's in the original claim. And, we have very few that are valid claims that are denied. And then if something is denied, like I said, we'll go to bat for you. But a lot of people, maybe 10 years ago, they filed a claim and they were denied. But now that condition has worsened. That would be considered new evidence. So even if you've been denied at some point, contact us, see, maybe, you do qualify for benefits now where you didn't before. And I think with our Vietnam era veterans, that is a message we should shout from the mountaintops, because when they left the service, a lot of them, they were just kicked to the curb and they were bitter about their service. Our country was not thankful for their service. And so they haven't wanted to have anything to do with the VA. Things have changed, and especially for our Vietnam era veterans, there are so many presumptive conditions that they may have now, certain types of cancer and things that can be directly related to their exposure to Agent Orange while they were in Vietnam, that will give them full medical coverage. And I get, probably 2 to 3 calls a week from Vietnam veterans that, have been diagnosed with cancer. Maybe they've been suffering from it for a couple of years now, but they're getting to a financial position where they're like, I can't take care of my family, I can't take care of myself. Is there anything that you can do? And it's heartbreaking, because there's been something we could do for quite some time.
Yeah, and it happens with the VA that a lot of things will get denied at the first level. You just see that so often. This is denied, and so then on appeal, you've got to take it up on appeal. The do-it-yourselfers, God bless you. Thank you. I appreciate that. We've got to, we got to band together. However, you increase your odds, you improve your odds dramatically if you get somebody who's been there, who's seen this, who understands all this, and can make sure that we have a full record going in. And now I'm going to slip over just a second. The VA is massive. It's the largest department in the country, the largest employer in the country. There are hundreds of thousands of employees, if I recall right. And so it could be that it takes a little while for your claim to work its way through. And often there's the ability to call and find out, well, what's going on? But if you don't know any of that, it's just so helpful to have an advocate help you to do that, who knows who to call and how to ask the right questions.
Yeah. And a lot of times the claims will take longer if maybe you forgot to submit just one small piece of paper, and then they send you a 10-page letter telling you, you need to submit something, but it gets lost in translation. I've read some of those letters and I'm like, I'm not sure what they're asking for. But if we do it on the front end, we're going to make sure before we submit that claim that each one of those necessities for a claim is in there. And, we do have some that take longer, but it's usually because, again, they're looking for a certain piece of evidence on there. The other thing I'll mention, sometimes this happens a lot with tinnitus or hearing loss. Somebody will go in, file a claim, and they'll come back and give you a 0% rating on that. Well, 0 is good. It's not a denial. It's saying that we believe that during your service you were exposed to things that could decrease your hearing loss, but right now we're not showing evidence enough to pay you any benefits. But what you can do is, as your hearing gets worse or something, you can come back in and be re-examined, and then they will pay you back to the date that they gave you that original rating.
Yep.
It's better to get in sooner than later too.
So again, I know we haven't mentioned this, what, 5 times? Make the phone call, get in, and find out what you don't know, and more importantly, what you don't know that you don't know.
That's right.
Because you're making some assumptions, and that's dangerous. And so get down there. You're going to be working most likely with the vet. Most of your advocacy people are vets. You're going to sit down.
All of our advocacy people that file claims, they are all veterans themselves.
So you're going to sit down. You're going to visit with a vet. They're going to understand. Okay. None of this stuff going to some lawyer who never served and he doesn't know nothing. That is, you're going to talk to somebody who's been there and understands. So I don't live in the Treasure Valley. What do I do?
Still call that number that I gave you. Even if you don't live in one of the major cities that I mentioned that we have an office in, we do have our service officers. Each one of them are assigned a certain rural area in the state, and we travel there once a month. We work with the county service officers to do claims. Most of our Idaho counties have county service officers that you can go in and speak with, but again, they're not quite as knowledgeable as our state service officers. So we work very closely with them. They call us oftentimes. And then if it's something that's a little bit beyond what their knowledge is, then they'll make an appointment so that when our state service officer is coming in once a month, then they can sit down with them. So, you know, if you live in Council or Cambridge, something like that, we've got somebody that comes up there, McCall, Cascade,
Very
and
good.
Northern Idaho.
Yeah, now I suppose they could do it over the phone or Zoom.
You know, we do some conversations over the or some appointments over the phone. We can, in extreme cases, do home visits if the veteran and their spouse are unable to leave their home. We can do that. 90% of our appointments we try to do in person because, again, sometimes you know, that in-person conversation, things come out that, you know, may not have come out otherwise, or even visually being able to see that veteran sitting in front of you, you may pick up on something that you couldn't over the telephone.
Oh yeah, the nonverbal cues are huge, especially with a certain age group, and we won't mention which age group that is, but we need to be able to tell that we're communicating.
Yeah.
And if they're not hearing as well, in person is better.
Yeah.
So there's
one of the things you can file for too is PTSD and things like that. And that is oftentimes something that somebody doesn't want to bring up. But again, sitting there talking to a fellow veteran, a lot of times they can pick up on that and things and start asking those questions that maybe you weren't ready to bring up or you didn't even realize you should be bringing up.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. So quickly, as many programs as you can think of, and if not very specific, broad categories of programs that people may or may not know about.
Oh boy, that's a big one.
It's really unfair, but go.
Yeah, I was going to say, you didn't prep me for that one. You know, as far as programs within the VA, they've got some recreational programs directly with the VA. There are also a lot of groups across the state that are nonprofits that offer recreational activities for veterans. There's Team River Runner. They take people out on the river and also do pool lessons for kayaking and things like that. They've got a branch here in Boise, and then usually during the summer, they're on the river every week. and they are available to both veterans and their families. Mission 43 is another great organization. They are founded by, or funded by the Catherine Albertsons Foundation.
Oh.
And they have engagement activities with veterans. They also offer help with employment and education. There's the Idaho Veterans Chamber of Commerce. They help with help business owners, veteran business owners get started. They also have a housing and education and employment wing to their organization. There are a lot of good ones out there. And if you have an interest, whether it be fly fishing, there's an organization called Healing Waters that gets veterans out to go fly fishing. If your interests are just sitting down and having coffee, there are plenty of organizations outside of even the Warhawk that have small coffee clutches around the state on a weekly basis. So I think that if you have a veteran in your family that you're looking to get them involved, or you want to get involved yourself, there is something for you. One other organization that I'll mention, it's called Legacy Corps.
Yes.
And they provide respite care for caregivers. So say you have a veteran in your family, and maybe the spouse is caring for this veteran and they can't be left alone, but they can still get out and do things. They're assigned a buddy, for lack of a better word, that comes once a week and maybe just stays in the home with them so that the caregiver can get out and do something on their own, or even go grocery shopping. Or I know that I know one in particular, the buddy comes over and takes the veteran for a 2 to 3 hour drive just around the countryside. See, you know, what Eagle Road looks like now, what buildings are going up and things like that, and to just get them out. So again, no matter what your level of ability is or your interest, there is something out there for you. And again, you can contact our office. That would probably be one of those things that our advocates wouldn't necessarily help you with, but they would probably end up directing you to me, and we'll get you connected with somebody that you know, can get you out and get you active again.
Yeah, so again, we've spent some time, we've talked about a lot of things. I appreciate the listing of those activities, because those are not things people think about, right? And that sits on top of medical help, financial help. There's programs to help you fit your home with to make it ADA accessible. There's a myriad.
Yes.
And guys, you don't know what you don't know. You just don't. All right. I know. What do I know? But I know that I don't know everything. And so the first place to start is to, write this down, it's 208
780
1380.
80. That's right.
1380. So remember that. If not, you can go online. You're going to look at the Idaho Division of Veterans Services. If you're trying to find something under the VA, you might get lost. So it's Idaho Veterans Division of Veterans Services. This is where Idaho vets are taking care of Idaho vets.
Yep. Our website is veterans.idaho.gov.
And make an appointment. Have your daughter take you down. If you can't go do this by yourself, or your spouse, whatever, go down and at least talk. Have the very first meeting.
You can bring somebody with you. You know, I suggest that, or you probably suggest that with your type of planning too. Sometimes it's good to have another person there that can ask questions maybe that you're not thinking of at the moment, or bring things up. And then also when you leave there, you've got somebody that you can talk to that. Well, now what did they say about this? That sort of thing.
We see all the time. The vet or one of our older clients will go, yeah, well, I don't need any help with anything. And the son or the daughter or the spouse is with them going, well, Dad, sweetheart, what about this and this and this? Oh yeah, there's that. That's a bit of an issue, but I don't really need any help with that. Well, what about this? Oh, somebody there that has seen them struggle with some things. And like you said before, there's somebody that's worse off. And so it's really hard for them to go, yeah, I could use a little help with that. Bring somebody. Yeah, I really bring a family member. We really encourage that with our planning so that we can ask those other questions. Like, is mom able to fix her own meals? Well, yeah, she is, but she doesn't. Oh, okay. Well, and then you move forward from there. Okay. So Mitzi, thank you. Any parting shots for whoever's listening today?
Like we've reiterated here time and time again, just give us a call, see what we can do. Everybody's situation is different, but you don't know what you don't know until you call. And we're here to help you. And if you've dealt with the VA, maybe you've had a problem, or you're confused about something, give us a call. And we've got relationships with everybody within the VA system. And sometimes instead of checking a website or just giving you a phone number, we can call an individual and say, hey, Bob,
what's going on?
Mr. Smith needs help with this.
Yeah. Excellent. Very good. Okay. So Mitzi Cheldelin, did I say it right? You're the Community Resource Coordinator for the Idaho Division of Veterans Services. And again, our phone number is 208-780-1380.
That's correct.
780-1380. Well, there's something to that. All right. Thank you for your time today. Hopefully that phone keeps ringing, and call. Do it. Find out what you don't know. All right, everybody, please take care of yourselves and take care of each other, and we'll see you next time.